I just finished my first year of university yesterday. I did my last exam of this semester, and in this video I want to talk about all of the lessons that I learned being at university for a whole year. I learned consistency after a few years between my art school experience and then now university again. I was just working and doing my creative work, and it was very like in a flowy way. I found consistency to be actually a big challenge, and being in university where you're forced to be consistent, you learn it eventually. I learned the value of having stability and structure in my life, and I'm a very like, let's take it as it comes personality, but having some kind of stability and something that grounds you, some responsibility, is actually nice. And I think it just anchors me a lot, and especially something like an education, which occupies a lot of time. Another thing I learned was that there's so much more to learn, which I know that I don't know everything at all, but I think it's crazy when you go back into a learning environment, you're like, there's so much I didn't even know that I didn't even know. And also I learned that I don't have to do it all by myself, because before going back to uni I would just teach myself things a lot, like online tutorials, stuff like that, or learn by doing, you know what I mean? It's really helpful to have someone guiding you somewhat. I mean, it's university, so it's not like they're holding my hand throughout all of it, but I have someone to ask for help, and I actually should be asking for more help because I've still been doing a lot by myself, but I'm learning slowly and surely in life in general to ask for support. Another thing I learned was I love working in groups. Initially, I didn't want to go to the university I'm at because it's super heavily group project based, but I actually love it. I love working in groups. I love exchanging ideas. I love that, you know, we have different strengths, and my weaknesses is someone else's strength as well, and vice versa. And I think that there's so much power in that. Also, out in the real world, it's just a good skill to learn how to compromise, how to let people be who they are. I also learned that constant evaluating and checking in to see how I feel about something is a little bit harmful, and letting things be for a bit and checking in more occasionally is a better option. Because what I did a lot in the beginning of uni, I was constantly every single day, and during the lectures and stuff like that, I would be like, does this feel right for me? Do I want to be here? And I was critiquing a lot of things in my mind about everything, like myself and everything else. And eventually I just got tired of it for like, after like a month and a half, and I decided like, okay, I'm just gonna like do this semester, and then I can check in afterwards to see how I feel. And then by the time the first semester was over, I actually really liked it. During like some difficult times throughout the second semester, where I was also like, oh my god, I was already at a place where I'm like, there's no other way, like I'm doing this. The pros outweigh the cons so much, and the further I get into it, I'm just like, wow, I'm so grateful that I stuck it out. I think in the beginning when I was like resisting a lot, I think that's normal in any new situation, and I think it's great to check in with yourself and how you feel and how your body is reacting to things. But I feel like it can also be kind of bad when you're in a new place where automatically like you're gonna have alarm bells going off because it's just out of your comfort zone, like even if it's not a bad place. And in general in life, I'm way too good at checking in and seeing how I feel all the time, but not just in like a quick noticing, more in like deep analysis every day, and it just gets tiring, and you know, you can think of things that are not even true. I also learned that going to a very intense art school in prior has taught me a lot of lessons that have kicked in now that I didn't even know I had learned. Like for example, I don't give a fuck about authority anymore. When I went to art school, I had a few authority figures, one in particular who was for real abusing his power. You know, I learned from, I was super young back then, but I learned that, yeah, no one has like really power over me. And not that any of my professors now are actually, like, none of them are weird. I can see other people having a hard time sometimes putting like these authority figures, like professors or whatever, like on a pedestal when they're not. Like, have respect for their knowledge and what they're here to do, and respect for them teaching and what they're saying, but like no one is better than you, you know what I mean? What the actual fuck? Of course. Why not? Ew, ew, ew! Oh my god. Oh my god, there's a wasp with a like a worm in his mouth. Can I just do my what I learned in university lessons video in peace? And I think also in art school, I still felt like I had to please these people above me or whatever, and I don't feel like that anymore. And it's just really cool to see that I am actually able to be here for myself. And it doesn't mean like, you know, I still don't have other insecurities or whatever, but like that is something I'm not really struggling with. And I guess I didn't learn that here, but I'm seeing that lesson being implemented here, which is very cool and satisfying. Another thing I learned was that when I decide to, I can lock in like there's no tomorrow. If I decide like, okay, we need to finish this, or like I need to finish this, I need to do this, I will be sitting by the computer until like whatever it is done. I actually have discipline, and it's nice to know. And I think I learned it from here again, like having deadlines again helps me so much. And so for my own personal stuff that technically doesn't have deadlines, I started adding deadlines in my private life as well for different random things in my private life, just like not in my school life, you know. And it really helps so much. When I first went back to uni, ew, get the fuck away from me, ew. And it does, if that's the same wasp, it does not have a worm in its mouth anymore. So what the fuck is it? Did you drop it in my fucking room? No, no respect. Like, actually, no. When I first went back to uni, I felt like I was 15 years old again, because my university is very close to my hometown. It's like very like hometown culture. When I went to art school, it was like in a foreign country, you know. So I felt like I was 15 again. I was back at the first day of high school, and some insecurities that I had not dealt with for many years kind of came out again. But I will say I learned to quickly like overcome them, and I actually feel like it was in a way really healing to go back to a place that is so similar to my high school times, which were not even that bad, to be honest. They were fine, but of course I was more insecure of who I was when I was 15, you know what I mean? More seeking validation outside of myself, and I wanted to fit in. But I found myself like in the beginning like wanting to kind of fit in, but also rejecting it a lot. And now I'm just sort of there. I'm like, yeah, I can be here however I am, you know what I mean? Like, it actually is so fine. Yeah, it was like really cool to learn that, to just, because I feel like a lot of people who move out of their hometown, they have this idea of like, I can never be myself there. That's your own choice. Another thing I learned was that a lot of people, and myself included, sometimes the idea of like going back to uni when you're a bit older seems like a bit of a like I can't be bothered because I might be older than other people, and I'm not really interested in like the uni like experience. If you want to go back to school, you should, because this first year has flown by, number one. Second, besides being in university, I feel like finally so many things have been kind of happening besides all my school stuff. My life did not pause at all. I feel like things have just been working out so smoothly since going back to school, and I just feel great. And I'm able to still live my life a lot as well, but I have an anchor now, and it's nice. Low-key, going to uni is so freeing. You get to choose your own schedule. You don't even have to show up to lectures. You have exams, yeah, and maybe assignments, but that's it. You know, you can really like be smart about it. The last thing I want to talk about in this video, I'm sure I have so many more lessons, this was all I was thinking top of my head. Going back to university also taught me to practice my focus. I get so much more done when I have like a few big things to focus on and like consistently put my energy towards, versus when I have like 20 million tiny things all over the place. The last few years before going back was that I had too much I was trying to do all at once. By doing that, I got nothing done. And university taught me to like focus on like a few things because I had to for my assignments and stuff. But I've learned so much more than just skimming a few things all over the place. And it's a lesson that I'm bringing with me to other areas of life, because I can definitely be someone that wants to do everything all at once. And I get very excited and curious. I'm like, oh my god. It's just so much more valuable to limit the amount of places you are putting your attention towards. And I think it's a great lesson, and I'm happy to have learned it. And in general, I'm happy to have learned everything that I learned the last year. not even a year. I started September last year, so 10 months. Yeah, it's crazy. But I don't know, I'm just super excited to keep going. I'm so happy I'm still here for a while, and learning is fucking cool. So yeah.